Now, what's going on, everybody? Today's topic, it's about the future of corporation, African corporation. And this is a topic I talked about a few years back. And I was talking, about I hope some of the strategy those corporations will have to do. But this is what's happening today. Innovation is growing at a tremendous rate across Africa. And I don't see any African corporation staying alive in the next 10, 15, 20 years if they don't do two things, right? Number one, they'll have to develop an investment vehicle for startups in their space, of course, for innovative startup in their space. One of the big things that I've changed, and I've talked to a lot of telecom companies, from people from Orange, till MTN, and their dominance in mobile money is no longer the case. Fintech has changed the game. Now, fintech is not necessarily competing directly, depending on some of those fintechs are B2B, some of those fintechs have different models, they focus on API, so on and so forth. But fundamentally, fintech has changed on what's happening on the ground, right? They have shown that private company or startups not only can innovate without using the telecom channels, number one, but number two, they can raise a lot of money. And fintech today are raising a ton of money. Some of them have bigger valuation than some of those telecom companies, which is unbelievable. But that's a different topic. And that's waking up a lot of telcos that understand that their market shares, they're no longer the dominance. See, in Africa back in the days, corporation was a monopoly in most sectors, right? Access to capital for startup was just not there, so they could continue and survive and live without, worrying about competition. That's why they didn't innovate as much. Today is a different story. And it's so exciting. But the first thing they'll have to do, a funding channel for innovator and startup. The second thing, which is going to be even more important, and it's going to be a game changer, it's they're going to have to do merger and acquisition. They're going to have to acquire some of those innovations. It's cheaper to acquire than to compete with some companies. It's cheaper to acquire than to compete. So the reality is, if you want to compete, you have to change your culture. You have to bring team that are hungry, that are willing to innovate within your corporation. And corporation, we know across the world, they're not good at innovating. That's not their core basis, unless it was built in from the beginning. Their core basis is really management, continue expansion, but they create bureaucracy as they grow. But merger and acquisition is about to grow tremendously in Africa. I'm predicting it's going to be the next biggest opportunity for a lot of investors, right? Because public exiting, going public is just still not, the ecosystem is still not developed properly, at least on the African continent. But merger and acquisition is going to be the next biggest game. Because if you cannot compete with an innovator, what do? You buy them out. And they have the cash to do so. When I mean they, the big corporation in bank, in telecos, in much of those sectors you see across the continent. So I wanted to throw that out there. I truly spoke about that. But back in the days, it was, I hope those guys do that. Now is they have to do so. If they don't, guess what? In the next 15, 20 years, you're not going to hear from those companies. And the companies that's going to fail in the next 10, 15, 20 years, you're going to know the number one reason, and I'm saying that now, the number one reason will be because they did not innovate, they did not invest in innovation, they did not invest in innovators, and they did not acquire startup companies that are competing with them directly, developing innovative ideas and products and services. All right, man, let me know what you think, man. I'm getting very excited about this next 10, 15 years and what's going to happen. And for investor, this is the time to invest in innovations, because I guarantee you the valuation now, the value of those companies is no longer going to be what it used to be before. Now you can actually see the value of a company grow if that innovation brings true value to the marketplace. All right. Well, good talking to you. Put some comment below. Let me know what you think. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do so. You know, I'm producing content mostly for startups, but really with the African ecosystem in mind. I truly love this ecosystem. I truly believe in the next 10, 15, 20 years, there's going to be some serious billionaires and millionaires that's going to be made that are investing now into some technology company and other sector, of course. Take care.